Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, episode 7 of Day of the Dragon by Richard A. Knack. Let's go! After a day or so of travelling, Duncan, Rhonin, Verisa and the rest emerged from the woods to see Hasek lying in the distance. However, the paladin commander immediately reined his horse to a halt. Something is wrong here. Rhonin had felt it too. 'Twas quiet. Too quiet. Considering Hasek was a port town, it should have been absolutely bustling with noise. Yet, other than a few birds, there was no sound of life whatsoever. Maybe we're just over-anxious, because of the trek. After a few more moments of just kind of sitting there staring, Rhonin decided to take matters into his own hands and spurred his horse forward. He was going to make it to Hasek with or without the rest of them. But Verisa then quickly followed, with Lord Centaurus naturally hurrying after her. And then finally, the rest of the Silverhand Knights moved as well. And Rhonin couldn't help but smile as the paladins caught up with him and then took the lead, as if they hadn't been the last ones to make a decision. He was really looking forward to parting ways with these arrogant, pompous jerks. However, as the group drew nearer to the town, that feeling of wariness only grew stronger. Even their mounts were growing more and more tentative. And then, Rhonin spotted 3 ominous forms take flight and head directly towards them. A bit of panic befell the entire group for a moment or so, but the paladin commander signalled them all to sheathe their swords and calm the hell down, because the ominous forms approaching were merely griffins. Who rides to Hasek? Hail to you, Griffin Rider. I am Lord Duncan Centaurus, of the Order of the Knights of the Silver Hand. I lead this party to the port. If you will permit a question, has some misfortune befallen Hasek? If you can call a pair of dragons just a misfortune, then yeah. They came 3 days ago. If we hadn't arrived when we did, there'd be nothing left. A glorious battle it was, though we lost Glodin that day. May his spirit fight proud through eternity. Rhonin quickly interjected, fearful that these dwarves were about to break into one of their epic songs of lament. We saw a dragon about 3 days ago, with an orc handler. Some of your griffin riders came and fought it. The lead dwarf had initially scowled at Rhonin as soon as he opened his mouth, but at the mention of said battle, his eyes lit up. Aye, that was us as well, human. A good and dangerous fight that was too. Moloch here, he lost a fine axe, but at least he still has his hammer. Here, Moloch. Where's gonna get Glasgow? Aye, 'tis the hammer that impresses the ladies the most. The dwarf then seemed to notice Verisa for the first time. And here's a fine elven lady now. Falstad Dragon Reaver, at your service. Rhonin then recalled learning about how the elves of Quel'Thalas were some of the only other people that the dwarves of the Ares truly trusted. But that didn't seem to be the only reason why Falstad was now seemingly fixated on the Elven Ranger. Seemed like bloody everyone found her attractive. My greetings, Falstad, and my congratulations on a victory well fought. 2 dragons are much for any flight group to claim. All the day's tasks for mine, all the day's task. We've not been graced by any of your folk in this area though, especially not so fine a lady as yourself. In what way can this poor warrior serve you best? Rhonin felt the hair on the back of his neck bristle. This dwarf's tone suggested he was offering something more than simple assistance, like a bit of boob play or something. Rhonin knew such things shouldn't bother him, but for some reason every bloke in this chapter is a jealous maniac, because Duncan Centaurus obviously felt the same way as well, answering before anyone else even could. Your offer of aid is appreciated, but not necessary. We have but to reach the ship that awaits this wizard, so that he may be on his way from our shores. Duncan's words made it sound like Rhonin had been exiled from Lordaeron completely, so the frustrated mage quickly added, I'm on an observation mission for the Alliance. We've no cause to stop you from entering Hasek and searching for your vessel, human. But you'll be lucky to find one. Well, I still have to look. Then we'll be out of your way. A definite pleasure, my elven lady. And with that, the Griffin Riders rose up and buggered off. Let us ride. We may still find fortune on our side. Without another word, the group rode towards the port, immediately discovering that the town of Hasek had suffered far more than Falstad had let on. Stronger structures with stone bases had withstood the onslaught, but anything less than that had been completely demolished, and the air itself was full of the stench of burnt matter. Not everything the 2 dragons had charred had been made of wood, but curiously, some of the areas near the harbour itself looked entirely intact, which raised Rhonin's hopes a little bit. Perhaps the ship survived after all? I don't think so. Not if that's any sign. Verisa pointed out towards the sea itself, and Rhonin squinted. It's the mast of a ship, spellcaster. The rest of the vessel and her valiant crew now likely reside below the water. Balls. As Rhonin surveyed the harbour and ocean, he now saw bits and pieces of wood completely dotting the surface. Flotsam, from more than a dozen ships. Your quest is ended, wizard. You've failed. There may yet be a boat, And who here will sail to Casmodan for your silver? These poor wretches have suffered through enough trials. Do you expect some of them to set sail willingly to a land still held by the very orcs who did this? I can only try and find out. I thank you for your time, my lord, and wish you well. Rhonin then turned to the Elven Ranger. And you as well, Farisa. You're a credit to your calling. I'm not leaving you yet, but your task is incomplete. I cannot in good conscience leave you here with nowhere to go. If you still seek a way to Casmodan, I shall do what I can to help you. Duncan suddenly straightened and changed his tune. And we cannot leave matters so either. By our honour, if you believe this task still worthy of continuation, then the Knights of the Silver Hand will do all we can to assist. Farisa's decision to remain had pleased Rhonin, but Duncan's offer just pissed him off. I thank you, my lord, but there's many in need here. Wouldn't it be best if your order helped the good people of Hasek? Please work, please work, please work, Rhonin thought to himself. Your words do have merit for once. But I think both your mission and Hasek can benefit from our presence. My men will aid the citizens in recovery efforts. I will personally help you find a craft. Yes, what a good idea I just had. Great, thanks. So, the senior paladin sent his men on their way, and then the three named characters spent a little bit of time discussing how best to go about their search. They soon agreed that they should split up, to cover more ground, and they'd meet back here later to discuss their findings. Rhonin headed to the northern area of the port. The dragons had been pretty thorough though, and as the day waned, he'd found absolutely nothing. So the wizard started to consider other options. There were methods for a mage to travel great distances instantaneously, but only folks like Medivh had ever used that sort of spell with confidence. If Rhonin were to try and teleport to his destination, he would not only risk possible detection by an orc warlock, but also there was the potential for him to materialise directly above an active volcano, which would be a pretty embarrassing way to die. Rhonin then noticed there were a few Hasek residents gathered by some nearby wreckage, kind of staring at him. The look on their faces almost seemed like they blamed him for what had happened here, as if he was somehow responsible for the attack. Even now, in such dire conditions, these common folk could not get past their preconceived prejudices and fears of his kind. The next thing Rhonin observed were a couple of griffins flying overhead, obviously maintaining watch for another attack, but Rhonin doubted there would be another one, not anytime soon anyway. Falstad and his men would be better served down here, Rhonin thought, helping these people. But the wizard suspected the dwarves likely preferred to stay aloft and aloof. Hell, the only reason they were even still here was because they enjoyed the fight, and they were desperately hoping for another one. That's it! Who else but the dwarves would be insane enough to take him up on his offer? Why had it taken him this long to realise that was an option in the first place? So, Rhonin went ahead and ran as fast as he could, chasing after the griffin riders. Meanwhile, Farisa stood at the southernmost part of the docks. She too had been unsuccessful in discovering anything suitable to help Rhonin make his journey. She kinda desperately wanted to just go home, back to her own people. But as she'd said, she couldn't in good conscience just leave him, especially now that she was absolutely convinced he was not just on some simple observation mission. No, he was way too determined to see this thing through. What the bloody hell kind of mission was he really on, she wondered. Hello again, my beautiful elven lady. Farisa turned to see Falstad, eyes wide and a big grin on his face. Master Falstad, greetings to you. Please, just Falstad. I'm master of nothing save my own wondrous fate. How goes your quest to set the wizard on the water? I imagine not good. No, not good at all. A pity. Say we should discuss this further over a flagon of spirits. What do you say? Another time, perhaps. I still have a task to fulfill, and you seem to have your own thing going on. Falstad swung the little sack he was carrying on his shoulder around. What, this little thing? It's just some supplies. I could hand these to Moloch, and then you and I could go. An angry squawk then filled the air, setting both Farisa and Falstad on full alert, and they quickly made their way towards the source of the noise, only to find some griffin riders being accosted by a wizard.
Daft numpty.
Moloch, what's this spellcaster done that's so enraged you?
Aye, och. Here in Glasgow.
What is going on? I came to them with a simple request, that's all.
I guess.
I thought them capable and daring enough. Evidently I was wrong. If you're even suggesting that we're cowards, human, I'll drop you off a cliff. There's no mightier warriors than the dwarves of the airy peaks. We do not fear the orcs or the dragons of Grimbatol. We just care not to suffer the touch of your kind any more than necessary. Verisa expected fury from her charge and was surprised to see him just kind of purse his lips instead.
I'm on a mission for Lordaeron. That's all that should matter, but I see now that it doesn't.
Wait, Falstad, is there no hope at all that you might take us as close as possible to Grimbatol? If not, then Rhonin and I are surely defeated. I thought the wizard was travelling alone, and what would his chances be the first time he faced a strong orc axe? He might handle one or two with his spells, but if they came close, he'd need a good sword arm. Falstad considered this. She did have a good sword arm.
For him, I'd do very little. But for you, and the Alliance, I'd be more than willing. Moloch.
I guess.
'Tis for the good of the war, brother. Think of the daring you can boast about.
That sentiment alone seemed to somewhat appease Moloch.
Yeah, my own lady will read with ye.
I am flight leader. My rank demands it.
Moloch nodded, his facial expression somehow being a smirk but also scowl at the same time.
Wonderful. Once more the dwarves of the Airy Peak come to the rescue. This calls for a drink.
Verisa could see Rhonin would have preferred to take his leave at this point, but she'd just secured him his method of reaching Khazmodan. Least he could do would be to join them for a drink as well. We should be happy to join you. Isn't that so, Rhonin?
Very much so.
Excellent. Is the tavern still intact? They should be able to scrounge up a few casks of ale. The dwarves all hi-hoed their way towards the bar, giving Rhonin a moment to have a little chat with the ranger.
What are you thinking? Only I am heading to Khazmodan.
You wouldn't even have a chance to get there if I hadn't told them I was going with you.
You don't know what you're getting yourself into, Verisa.
Then tell me. You're planning something, aren't you? Rhonin was just about ready to actually answer that question when the two of them realised Duncan Centaurus had appeared at some point and was staring at them.
We'll talk of this when we've more privacy, Verisa. But know this. When we reach the shores of Khazmodan, I and only I will continue on. You'll be returning with our good friend Falstad. And if you even think of going any further...
Rhonin's eyes then flared, literally.
I'll send you back here myself.